I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. IV made tons of money mistakes in my 20s. And now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. So, SpaceX, man, you've probably heard the buzz, right? IPO, crazy valuation, Elon Musk doing his thing. And my first thought was, oh shit, is this the next big thing I'm going to miss out on? Because let S be real. We all hear those stories about people who invested in Tesla way back when, and now they reset for life. That S the dream, isn't it? Turning a few $100 into a fortune. And with a company like SpaceX, with rockets and Mars and all that futuristic stuff, it just screams opportunity. But here, S the thing, guys, my experience, and trust me, I've made enough mistakes to know, is that when something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. And SpaceX, well, that's got a lot of red flags. That's someone like me, who just trying to build some steady wealth can ignore. When I was in my early 20s, I was a total mess with money. I was always chasing the next quick buck, the next hot stock tip, the next flashy trend. I was a full-on impulse buyer, not just with clothes or gadgets, but with investments too. If someone on social media said something was going to blow up, I'd be there, wallet open, and you know what happened? I ended up with debt, no savings, and absolutely no idea what I was doing. It was a dark time. Honestly, I was just aimlessly floating, hoping something would magically work out. So when I hear about something like SpaceX, with its unbelievably huge valuation and all this hype, a little alarm bell goes off in my head. It's that same feeling I used to get right before I made a really dumb financial decision. And I want to save you guys from that feeling. Let S talk about this whole SpaceX IPO thing. First off, it's not your typical IPO where you rebuying into a stable, profitable company that's been around for ages. This isn't like buying shares in Coca-Cola. You know, they sold a small chunk of shares to the public and it S valued at almost $2 trillion. $2 trillion. That S insane. For reference, that S more than some of the biggest companies on the planet combined. And the funny part is, if you look at their actual financials, their profits, their assets, they just don't add up to that number. Not even close. They were actually losing a ton of money in their core space division and their AI ventures. Starlink, their internet service, is making money. Sure, but it's not enough to cover the massive losses everywhere else. This whole thing reminds me of when I got into some crypto stuff back in the day. Everyone was talking about how it was the future, how it was going to change everything, and I jumped in without really understanding what I was buying. I saw the potential, the dream, but I didn't see the reality of how much I could lose. And that is what SpaceX feels like right now. It is not about the current profits or even the immediate future. It is about a really long-term gamble, a bet on what this company could be in 10 or 20 years. And for us regular guys trying to build a solid financial foundation, that S just too much speculation, man. Think about Tesla. When Tesla first went public, it was also a gamble. It was losing money, only had one car, but investors saw the potential for electric vehicles and Elon Musk vision. And yeah, those early investors, if they held on, they were probably rich beyond their wildest dreams now, but that was a 1 in a million shot, you know? And even then, it wasn't a smooth ride. There were huge ups and downs. It took years for that bet to pay off. And the thing is, SpaceX is even more speculative than Tesla was. Tesla's core business was cars, something tangible, something people needed. SpaceX is building rockets to Mars and trying to make humanity multi-planetary. That cool as hell. Don't get me wrong. But as an investment for a guy like me, it is a whole different ballgame. One of the biggest issues with SpaceX, and something that would make me run the other way, is the amount of risk involved. Their own company filings admit that a lot hinges on Starship, their super heavy rocket, working perfectly. And if it doesn't, if there are technical issues, supply chain problems, or regulatory hurdles, their whole growth strategy could be screwed. They also get a huge chunk of their revenue from the US government. What if that changes? What if some administration decides to cut back on space spending or go with a different contractor? That's a huge risk for any company, let alone one that's already losing billions. And then there's the Elon Musk factor. Look, the guy is a genius, no doubt he's done incredible things, but his control over SpaceX is, well, wild. Even after the IPO, he still controls 82% of the company's voting power. That means he literally cannot be removed as CEO without his own consent. So, as a shareholder, you have almost no say in how the company is run. For me, as a passive investor, I want to know that the company is accountable to its shareholders, that there are checks and balances. With SpaceX, it's basically Elon's show, and you read just along for the ride. That's a huge gamble on one person, and while he has proven himself, it's still a single point of failure in a massive enterprise. Another thing that really stands out is the legal issues. SpaceX is constantly getting sued for everything from noise complaints to environmental concerns to even how they hire people. Now, every big company faces lawsuits, But the sheer volume and variety of legal challenges they face, some of which are politically charged, is a concern. These things are costly and divert management attention from the core business. As someone who is trying to avoid unnecessary headaches in my own life and finances, I certainly don't want to invest in a company that seems to be in constant legal battles. So, what's the takeaway here, guys? For me, someone who's been down that road of chasing hype and getting burned, SpaceX right now is a hard pass. It's a $1 trillion gamble. It's not an investment for the average guy trying to build wealth steadily. If you're already super rich and you want to throw some money at a lottery ticket and you understand that you might lose it all, then maybe it's for you. But for the rest of us who are trying to get our financial lives together, pay off debt, build an emergency fund, and invest for a secure future, this is just too much risk, too much speculation. There are better, more reliable ways to grow your money without betting your future on whether we can get to Mars in 20 years. My advice, as always, is to stick to the basics. Focus on saving, pay down debt, invest in broad market index funds, and build that emergency fund. It's not as flashy as rockets and space travel, but it's how real wealth is built, slowly and steadily. Don't let the hype pull you into something that doesn't align with your financial goals. Your future self will thank you for being smart and patient. Let's dive a little deeper into why these kinds of speculative investments can be so dangerous for people like us. For ordinary folks just trying to make it, when I was younger, I thought investing was all about finding that one stock, that one company that was going to explode and make me rich overnight. I saw all these headlines about people who made millions from early tech investments, and I thought, why not me? What I didn't understand back then was that those stories are the exception, not the rule. For every person who hit it big, there are probably thousands who lost their shirts. I was one of those who lost their shirt, not literally, but financially. I took some serious hits. I invested in companies based on gut feelings, based on rumors, based on what looked cool. I didn't do my research. I didn't understand financial statements. I didn't even know what a P/E ratio was. I was just throwing darts in the dark, hoping to hit a bullseye, and trust me, that's not a sustainable strategy for building wealth. It's a recipe for disaster with SpaceX. The narrative is incredibly compelling. Who doesn't want to see humanity become a multi-planetary species? Who doesn't want to be part of something truly groundbreaking? But the problem is that emotional appeal can blind you to the financial realities. We're not talking about a company that sells consumer goods or provides a stable, predictable service. We're talking about cutting-edge technology, risky ventures, and dreams that are decades away from potentially being realized. And while that's exciting to think about, it is also incredibly volatile. The stock market is not a place for dreams alone. It is a place where numbers, profits, and clear business models usually win out in the long run. Consider the sheer scale of the project SpaceX is undertaking, building reusable rockets, creating a global satellite internet network, developing a spacecraft to take humans to Mars and beyond. That's not just expensive, it's astronomically expensive. And while they have Starlink bringing in revenue, it's barely keeping pace with their spending. Their space division lost over $500 million last year and again in the first 3 months of this year. Their AI venture XAI, which they just acquired, is also a massive money pit right now, with projected losses in the billions over the next few years. So you are investing in a company that, for all its groundbreaking technology and visionary goals, is currently operating at a significant net loss. For a regular investor, that means your money is going towards covering those losses and funding future development, not necessarily generating immediate returns for you. And let's be honest, the idea of getting rich quick from a stock like this is a powerful siren song. It was for me. I remember thinking, if I just get in now before everyone else, I'll be set. But by the time a company like SpaceX has its IPO, especially with this kind of valuation, the real early money has already been made. The venture capitalists, the big institutional investors, they were the ones who got in on the ground floor when the risk was even higher, but the potential upside was truly astronomical. For us, buying into an IPO like this, we were essentially coming in much later in the game. It is like trying to buy a winning lottery ticket after the numbers have already been drawn, just with a slightly different twist. The big gains have already been locked in by others. Furthermore, the lack of dividends is a significant point to consider. Many companies, once they reach a certain level of profitability and maturity, start paying out dividends to their shareholders. This is a way for investors to earn a regular income from their investment, even if the stock price doesn't move much. But SpaceX has no plans to pay dividends. This means that the only way for you to make money on this stock is if someone else is willing to buy it from you at a higher price down the line. It is purely a growth play, a bet on future appreciation. And for a company that's operating at a loss with such massive projects ahead, that appreciation is far from guaranteed and will likely take a very, very long time to materialize, if it ever does, in a way that truly benefits the average investor. My own journey from being a financial train wreck to someone who actually has an emergency fund and invests consistently taught me the value of patience and consistency. I used to think I needed to hit a home run with every investment now. I understand that it's about hitting singles and doubles consistently. It's about compounding returns over time. It's about not losing money more than it is about making a quick fortune. And when I look at SpaceX through that lens, it just doesn't fit my investment philosophy. And I don't think it fits the philosophy of most people who are trying to build a secure financial future. We also have to consider the regulatory environment, space exploration, satellite communications, artificial intelligence, fee. These are all heavily regulated industries, and governments around the world are constantly updating their rules and regulations. This means SpaceX is always at risk of new laws, new tariffs, new restrictions that could impact their business model and their profitability. For example, the increasing legislative and regulatory activity around platform moderation, intellectual property, data privacy, and cybersecurity directly impacts X and the Grok chatbot, which are now part of SpaceX. These are external factors that are not directly within SpaceX control, yet they can have a massive impact on the company's operations and financial health. This adds another layer of uncertainty and risk that a typical, less complex company might not face. Then there's the public perception angle. Elon Musk is a very charismatic and influential figure, but he also attracts a lot of controversy. His pronouncements, his social media activity, and his political affiliations can sometimes stir up significant opposition or create negative sentiment around his companies. While his supporters are fiercely loyal, these controversies can also lead to boycotts, regulatory scrutiny, or simply make it harder for the company to operate smoothly. As a shareholder, you are essentially tied to that public perception, and that is an unpredictable variable. It's another layer of risk that I, as a conservative investor, would prefer to avoid. So when you consider all of these factors, the massive valuation that doesn't align with current financials, the huge losses, the reliance on unproven technology like Starship, the dependence on government contracts, Elon Musk's unparalleled control, the constant legal battles, the regulatory uncertainties, and the general unpredictability of cutting-edge, long-term ventures, it paints a picture of an investment that is, for lack of a better word, incredibly speculative. This isn't a company you buy into if you are looking for stable, predictable returns. This is a company you buy into if you are willing to take a massive bet on a future that may or may not materialize, and you are prepared to lose a significant portion or even all of your investment. For me, someone who started with nothing and had to dig myself out of a financial hole, that kind of risk is just not acceptable. My goal is to secure my future, not to gamble it away on a long shot. I want to build wealth slowly and surely through consistent saving, smart budgeting, and diversified low-cost investments that have a proven track record. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, in the same way space travel is, but it's effective, and it's how I've been able to turn my finances around and get my life on track. So, if you re-feeling the FOMO, if you rehearing all the hype about SpaceX and thinking you need to get in, take a deep breath. Step back, ask yourself if this truly aligns with your financial goals and your risk tolerance. For most of us, for the average dude or dudette trying to make ends meet and build a better future, there are far more responsible and effective ways to invest your hard-earned money. Don't let the allure of a possible generational opportunity blind you to the very real and significant risks involved. Stay grounded, stay smart, and remember that slow and steady wins the financial race. Peace.